这个赛季 W 最大变化就是引入了几个新人，然后因为新人都没有打过 LPL 的经验，然后我们需要重新磨合，然后包括打法也有可能重新要定化一下我们之后的打法，所以虽然过程挺辛苦的，但我觉得我们现在磨得已经挺好的。不管怎么样，我们这赛季都快结束了，所以我们希望在成都最后一场比赛的时候，我们可以发挥得更亮眼、更好，结束最后一场比赛。
Well, it seems like they're performing better so far after that Game 1 win against OMG. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, I'm Dom. This is Raz. Those other folks over there said some stuff that was pretty cool about Kai'Sa. But now it's time to talk about what we want to talk about. What do you want to talk about, Raz?
Oh, I'll talk about what CA talked about, which is, of course, the style of the team
changing.
Keep
the camera here. We don't need to see the arena. Yeah. On us.
So
Xie,
Xie, of course, right? They changed their style a little bit because previously their style was play around Condi. Condi would invade, they would back him up. Condi would gank bottom lane, would back him up. It felt like Xie was second fiddle to a lot of the plays that Condi would make. Now you bring in a rookie, of course, towards the jungle position and support. And what is their identity? Can't really revolve around the jungler now. The jungle revolving around Xie, and Xie is able to take up that mantle.
It's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that because in that Game 1, we saw Xie following Magic around on those invades, tracking Jieko, looking at the red buff, looking at the Krugs, and so on. But then later on, it swapped the other way, and it was Magic once again returning to the helicopter parent and just ganking his lanes.
Yeah, I like this coming in from Magic. The fact that he can now be confident in himself in the LPL.
Yeah.
Because at the very beginning, it was very easy to just follow Xie's orders and be able to get the mid lane repeatedly and find wins based off that mid lane success. Now he recognizes the jungle talent. He recognizes going up against Jieko is not intimidating in any sense. So being able to find that jungle matchup like Rek'Sai versus Trundle and bait him a little bit more, knowing that you have Cassiopeia behind you, he can do a little bit more than he's done in the previous weeks.
Well, we'll see how this works out for Magic, for Xie, if they can continue to grow moving forward as we get into this next round of pick and ban. And as you can see, WE find themselves on blue side. It was OMG with side selection. They chose red side in this game, too. I do like the Cassiopeia ban here.
Yeah, I like the Cassiopeia ban just because it allows Icon to go a little bit more adventurous, which is why counter pick and red side means a lot more in that sense. Icon could suddenly maybe go towards his Echo pick that he's been picking up a little bit more recently, and go towards something like a LeBlanc, which is possible. Found success on that really early on in the split. Maybe a Kassadin. So Icon's known for his assassin picks. And one of the best things about some of the patches that have been coming through is that stopwatch, at least the inspiration tree got nerfed, so you're not going to have the stopwatch early.
10 minutes, yeah.
10 minutes is a long time, so early advantages is very possible.
We'll see what that's going to be because, again, this is match point. This could be the last game in the OMG Chengdu Arena until Summer Split. Swain immediately picked up by 957. He had to play into that. And even though he got a gank, even though he got a kill with a 20 CS lead very early on, he still struggled so much. So now he gets the chance to play it back against OMG. Olaf picked up by Jieko to follow.
Yeah, I just love the fact that Swain is so strong as a flex right now, can go towards CA, 957 as well. 957's found success on the Swain pick recently. A lot of people have, and you've mentioned it. It's just a strong pick once you have your first few items. Catalyst means that you can just spam your Q. Once you've hit level 9, you're at level, or at least 5 ranks in your own Q, then you can start just really dishing out a little bit hard in your lane. So I wonder what Xiong wants to pick into this matchup, because it's very hard to find a positive one.
Ooh, Kha'Zix picked up by Magic. Perhaps taking inspiration from the Kha'Zix that he played just a few days ago. And, oh, don't you play with my heart like that, Mystic.
You know he's going to do it.
Oh! It's Xie, though. I think it's Xie. Xie's a bit of a troll sometimes.
He's going to do it.
Oh, thank you. This champion is just so cool.
It is
We had
cool.
a quadra kill. We nearly got the penta. She's got space missiles.
She does have face missiles. A lot of face missiles.
I said space missiles, but also face missiles. All right, Tristana is the follow-up from Chelly to try to deal with that. Late game, that range is going to become quite a pain, but laning phase actually fairly even.
We ran, or at least we saw Rogue Warriors run this composition in the one game that they won going up against Jingdong, which was the Kha'Zix and the Kai'Sa composition, which meant that flanking was such an easy thing to do, and that's something that Icon and Chelly have to be aware of. They're positioning team fights. It can't just be simply front to back, so the extra protection of Tristana is meaningful. The jump out is going to be needed when Kai'Sa finds herself in the back line. Or when Kha'Zix is, if it's in a jungle fight, it's like red side jungle.
Buster shot to try knocking her away if she comes in. Of course, it's still patch 8.5. She doesn't get that shield until she lands after using the Void Rush. So it is possible to interrupt it, deny her shield, and catch her midway, which is why I love Poppy as a champion. But I never want to see a Poppy in my Kai'Sa games because nothing is funnier than, I'm going in! Dong!
I just love Poppy. I mean, we're not like going to see it. Unless if Xiang decides that he's going to go way back in the time machine.
It's very unlikely.
But Poppy's just hilarious when you go up against compositions
I'm sorry,
like
I got excited. I was absolutely just
Jarvan,
interrupting you.
Camille. No, I just, you give me a time to talk about Poppy and I'll go off.
Okay.
I just love talking about the.
So what do you want to talk about as Shen is now banned away from Xiang?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Xiang a little bit.
Okay.
Because it makes sense since we were talking about Poppy just a little bit, and he has a pick that he needs to go towards. A lot of protection is needed for his backline. We're looking at the Ryze and Tristana. So I would say perhaps Sion is the easy go-to for him. It allows a lot of zoning so Tristana can walk up a little bit more. And if they ever find a problem with people hitting his backline, then he can just change pace and use his ulti. So that's an opportunity that he can look towards.
We'll see what Xiang decides to go for because, again, WE are holding on to that flex with the Swain.
Are you kidding me?
I don't think he is. Sion locked in for WE. Double flex. You don't get to know, Xiang.
Not only do they not get to know, but now they stole the pick away from Xiang. Now, Xiang doesn't have the Sion to himself. At least he can have the matchup. So if he's looking towards the matchup, there are a few that are pretty decent into both the mage pick of Swain and the tank pick of Sion. I'm thinking more of the Renekton that he's gone towards in the past. Thinking about the... okay, now he just took me off when he was hovering Poppy.
He hovered it.
When he hovered Poppy, I was like, whoa.
Immediately triggered.
But yeah, Renekton is one. Kled we've seen a few of, but he's going to go to the safe Ornn pick.
Much safer there. And then Ornn will be locked in. We'll see where WE decide to put themselves. So far, it looks like Sion in the top lane, but we could see a swap at the last second.
And you never know.
Yeah.
You never know with Xie because he picks a lot of those bruiser mages in the mid lane. Vladimir is a one that he's consistent with as well in the previous season. So.
And Gurlio.
Gurlio, that's true. That's true. The Gurlio was currently a
Vladimir.
mid lane pick, but like previously when it was a top lane pick.
Wait, that's a great skin idea. Galio just in a 2-2. Gurlio.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
That would be a solid 750.
Right next to Birdio. Oh, no, we already have the parody skin. We already have Birdio.
Okay, there we go.
Can't do another. But he does play those bruiser style. He finds himself on Swain this time, the battle mage.
So that just means that he needs a little bit of help, or at least gank help. I was wondering what the Kha'Zix was going to do in this composition because he needs setup for ganks.
Yes.
And the only strength of Kha'Zix early on in the game with, let's say, the Olafs and Starners running around is gank pressure. So now that he has setup with the Swain, I do expect him to come around mid lane a little bit more often.
And on the other side, Team OMG going to be trying to bring it down in what could potentially be their last game in their home arena in Chengdu against longtime rivals, Team WE, who are playing Kai'Sa now for the second time with Swain and Sion to set up for it. There's a lot of crowd control. If you are able to land the Never Move, land the knock-up with that Sion, heck, even land the Morgana binding, Magic can go anywhere he wants.
Yeah, so that's why it feels like teamfight focus is going to be there for both of these teams. The last time we get to see both OMG and WE in the, or at least the spring split, and we get to see a real test.
We're not going to get to see these teams fight until Summer Split again.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real test to OMG to see if they can at least get a strong team fight and pull this one to Game 3.
That said, the momentum is against them, though the crowd is with them. Many die-hard OMG fans in the arena, as it is absolutely packed.
Well, yeah, they're here for the last split, or at least the last game for OMG.
And we load onto the Rift for Game 2 between WE and OMG. Why is this becoming a thing? Wow.
There we go. They recognize that level 1s are currently just very much five-man spread. So if it's a five-man spread, I get a little time to cheer.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you cheering for, Raz?
Nobody.
You have time to cheer, but you're not going to use it.
Exactly.
Yes. Better to have the time than not. As Five and Chelly actually stepping into the brush. Bit of a cheesy play here as Mystic and Celestial aren't going to be leashing. They might feign a leash. Let's see if they wait for the minions.
Feigning would be ineffective just because Sion currently will show up in the lane without manas or HP, one or the other. So they're going to know that Magic is top lane.
Okay,
regardless.
now they're stepping forward. That's the flay. Mystic eats the explosive shot. And 2 charges, chunked down to half already, but he did start with that Doran shield. If he can take this level 1 safely, he might be able to heal back up.
Just sets up 5 fairly well, knowing that potions are going to be expended here from Mystic and Celestial. Right now, Celestial used his, so now 5 can step up a little bit more aggressively, and once they ping 6, since they have Tristan, it's going to be a little bit easier to do that. They can look for a hook, so level 2 is going to be important.
Still holding on to that health potion. Feigning back and forth, actually pulling aggro from Mystic away from those minions, and he's actually missing out on some CS here as Chelly is already declaring dominance. 7 minions to 2 with that first wave, using the Acathian Rain. It is still 8.5, so the mana costs aren't prohibitively high just yet on using that spell as a spam. But already you can see OMG controlling that bottom lane, and Jekko is set to control the river.
Ooh, and Kha'Zix has to piece out of this one. You might be able to steal this.
Oh, they're thinking about it. Auto attack, and it's picked up by Jekko.
And this is what's rough for Kha'Zix currently in the meta, is that he's known as a skirmishing jungler and he's known as a ganking jungler. He can't skirmish because a lot of the junglers here, Olaf in particular is the greatest defender, of being a phenomenal skirmish jungler up against Kha'Zix. He wins the 1v1 handily and he farms much quicker, so he gets to the Scuttle Crab a lot faster. So Magic can't even set up for a play, can't even set up for an ambush because Jekko's already there. So that's the difficulties of the windows that Kha'Zix currently has in these matchups. So thankful he has Sion and Swain to set up for a gank here. Otherwise, there's just no reason for the pick.
And already this early game is going completely different from that game 1. Jekko invades and helps skirmish against Magic. He doesn't have the backup of Icon, though, which is a bit different from Magic and Chie's success in that game 1.
He will soon enough. That's the thing. Right now, Icon doesn't need to go out and help him. He's helping up and denying CA from helping him out. So right now, he's just trying to trade up in the mid lane, which is incredible. Ooh. He's able to shove out the lane.
Yeah.
So right now, Icon's doing incredibly well for himself. And that's going to, by part, help Jekko.
Oh, that's the ignite. And a leap in from Chelly. Binding misses. Celestial is ticking down. Chelly goes low. Dark Passage. Mystic is thinking about it. But he's not level 6 yet. He's just going to walk after 5 and trade some autos.
And Celestial's lucky that the extra auto attack didn't come through. That would have been a reset on the jump.
Flash, Spell, Flux, Auto, Icon. Solo kill, First Blood. The Hitman returns.
You even had Jekko just behind him just in case if Magic was lying in wait. He was there, so Icon's able to get the kill and even hold on to his heal.
That's going to feel good for Icon in front of the home crowd, able to step up against Chie's Swain. And with that recall, he's finally finished off his tier. He's got himself another Sapphire Crystal to match the Sapphire Crystal of Chie, who did use his heal during that engage. So now he will not have the opportunity to teleport back in.
So at this point in time, OMG, the small window that they had currently in their laning phase, well worth it. They got the kill. Right now, OMG has to be a lot more aware of the window that they have that was closing, because first 2 levels, great for OMG, bottom lane. They can push up, they can look for flays, they can look for hooks, but now the Celestial's at level 4. He's going to be able to push the wave with his pool, with his Tormented Soil, that is. And then, of course, the Magic Shield that you just saw is going to deny a lot of the hook plays that 5 can be making.
And that's what we already saw, using that hook to allow Mystic to step up and trade back against Chelly and 5. As the wave is pushed in, it's Pickaxe first out of Chelly. In the top lane, 957 and Xiang just trading away. Tank versus tank this time. Magic is there. He leaps in, but a good charge gets Xiang back under his turret.
Yeah, I wonder what Magic was thinking, because he was debating with himself whether he wanted to flash in the way of Xiang. It was not going to mean too much there. Actually meant nothing. So there is a point where he wanted to go for a gank. Might try for a dive instead.
He could look for it. A minion is spat across. Down to about 150. 957. takes a turret shot. No sign of the jungler. Jekko is mid lane. Magic, he's making the exact same play happen as the previous game. This time it's Xiang holding his ground. Remember, he's got flash. He's got shield. Knock up onto 2. 957 sidesteps the flame breath. Magic eats a turret shot. Flash to sidestep. Xiang still holding on. They cannot finish this off. The turret will kill them. That's the auto attack flash. And Magic goes down 1 for 1.
Finally gets a kill to his name there as well. Xiang plays that as well as you possibly can for a man with 20 HP, and he's able to outplay and get a trade for him.
And with that outplay, that's going to help equalize the gold between those two top laners. Meanwhile, seeing Magic dead on the map, immediately Jekko rushes towards that Mountain Dragon. 6.5 minutes in, something Olaf is happy to take.
Yeah, so strong from Xiang to be able to outplay that situation. I think that Magic should have just pulled the trigger. Earlier on, before it even became a dive, he could have jumped in to get the kill because he just had his Q up. Would have been enough damage, but he tried to play it safe and set up for a dive. But that's how the cookie crumbles. I mean, it's not a safe play if you're looking at a wall and a turret to really decide where the CC lands. So it's very easy for Xiang to be able to get the knock up that if you're just deciding that it's going to be around this turret.
Ooh, Mystic tries to step up and gets punished back by 5. The explosive shot from Chelly. They are playing around the Kai'Sa well so far, as he's just trying to heal up. Still only slightly up in effective gold, though the CS is even. And in the top lane, now that they've both reached level 6, it's going to become much more difficult to try and deal with that. Meanwhile, Jekko is having a great time on this bottom half of the map, just invading willy-nilly.
Yeah, essentially just tracking Magic. He knows that he's going to be at his red buff, so right now he should be calling on to Icon to help him out. Magic cannot start his red buff knowing that Jekko's just here throwing axes.
He's just tossing hands.
Oh, I guess he's just heading out.
It seems like Jekko is trying to replicate Ning versus Kai'Sa and IG versus RNG when Ning on the Olaf just tracked Kai'Sa's Kha'Zix all across the map, and it was impossible for Kai'Sa to take any of his own camps, but he's nowhere near as successful, though he is 18 CS up.
Yeah, that's just the matchup. Invictus Gaming can play that all too well. OMG didn't. At that point, you can actually move Icon and then thresh towards and help him out and push the red buff out. So they were just worried that Celestial and Mystic will be able to have the larger impact, even had the control wards to hide their movement from bottom lane to red buff. So they play the safe route just because they recognized that they didn't have the setup, a setup that Invictus Gaming can work out so well.
Perhaps that could be a strategy that OMG try to work towards as they move into the summer split after this series is over, though something that they can certainly try out here on stage in front of the home fans, the home crowd. But still, Xie just farming waves happily in that mid lane. Level 7, not quite level 9 yet.
Yeah, doesn't have the teleport to himself, so this is where the roams of Icon is so much more impactful. He has a good amount of control wards leading towards bottom lane, so Icon should be comfortable and waiting for Jekko to clear up his top side. If he can wait long enough, then Jekko can lead him towards the bottom side of the map where the dive can happen. He just needs to be checking out his watch, see if Jekko has enough experience so he can actually make the play.
Just watching the timer. Magic trying to leash blue buff. Visions of Empire is still only level 1, so it doesn't do a lot of damage. So Xie walks over.
Look,
I think that's what Magic was hoping for.
Yeah, he was. I think this is just pretty unfortunate from Jekko, just because taking your Raptor sure gives you the experience, but if you were able to time out the blue buff, which they had a good understanding of what time it was being done last time around, they could have used that opportunity of Swain getting blue buff to look towards bottom lane with the control wars that they had. So they wasted a lot of time there, even when they knew that they had a clear numbers advantage with Xie without TP. So once again, Jekko's not doing enough with the pick that he has to create a meaningful advantage for himself.
Well, this could be something meaningful. Turning towards the Herald as Chelly spawns. Jekko starts burning through its health. 957 senses something amiss. He steps into the river, and Magic is there too. I don't know if they spotted him on a ward, but now Jekko could be collapsed on flashes and escapes. 957 burns his ultimate.
Yeah, they knew that play was happening. The moment Jekko throws on towards the blue, I would say, Scryer's plan, and then showcases that he's topside, they knew that this was going to be a play that would
OMG are looking for a fight. Xie hops into the Demonic Ascension. It's a trade bottom, in and out. Buster shot and Void Rush to get in. Another kill goes to Mystic. Meanwhile, Xie in the mid lane goes golden. His stopwatch ticks over. He immediately uses it. Bursts back, but it's not enough. Magic cannot trade back, and 957 is low. Realm Warp to catch up. Xie tries to kite it around, never moves, snares Icon, and he's able to walk away at the cost of 2, but Icon Icon flashes back. You will not escape my house.
Yeah, proper trade across the map, but it works out much better than for OMG. Winning the meaningful trade in the top side near the Rift Herald. Sure, Jeko mucks up early, but he's still able to get the reward here with the Rift Herald.
Again, Olaf great at taking those neutral objectives. Might need some help from the team, though, as he just kites it out. It is possible to take the Herald without taking any damage, but Jeko doesn't seem to be going for that right now, just going for the efficiency.
Yeah, all he needs to do is dodge out the massive strikes the Rift
swing.
Herald goes for.
Yeah.
As long as he does that, then he's fine.
There it is, finally finishing it off. Jeko take the Rift Herald after OMG pick and win a fight off of Icon decisively choosing to collapse. Realm Warp, he's 3-0-1, and he's got his Archangels.
Look at this, because Xie is the only form of meaningful damage for them, but he only has one soul fragment. So he's a Swain with one soul fragment. What damage are we really expecting if he's not going to be landing any bit of a CC for himself? So sure, he's able to use his stopwatch here, but at this point, you saw how meaningless that ulti burst was.
Yeah.
So they just get charged up on him. Rise is able to follow through. Assassinates him at the end.
Flash, Rune Prison, and the kill. Icon stepping forward as he makes his way back into the mid lane. Now the next dragon is up in 40 seconds. We did see the kill bottom for Mystic onto Chelly, and he's now got a double longsword lead. It looks as though WE are trying to control vision on this bottom half of the map as they look towards the next objective.
Yeah, and we don't have a patience for, I would say, 2 replays in a row. So you just have to use your imagination and how Celestial is able to get the binding on each other. So, story of the bottom lane, don't get binded.
Bound.
Thresh is fine. I'll say binded. I'm fine with that. Fine
Sure.
with being grammatically incorrect.
Rift Herald actually being used mid. 5 is preventing any roam from Mystic or Celestial, and the charge will be enough to finish off the turret due to the residual damage from Icon. Mid-tier 1 broken. First brick. OMG.
And if they can push this wave, which is a cannon wave, Shay needs to hold on to this one. Then it's going to be Rise with a cannon wave of himself pushing down bottom lane. I
We
guess
do
we
have
do
time
have the
for a second
luxury.
replay.
All right, sure, fine. Let's go for
So
it.
it's actually Mystic stepping forward. Soul Shackles. There's the binding that you were talking about. In and out. Heal is used, but not enough. Mystic gets the burst.
Okay, so you really can't dodge out on that one. Chelly just got flashed on and bound. So at that point, he's just going to get locked down for so long, enough time to just get whacked at by Mystic. That's fine.
Yeah, Mountain Dragon being taken by OMG in the meanwhile. They know they had that Rift Arrow pushed in. All of the other lanes were under their turrets. And that's 2 Mountain Dragons. Did I say Rift Herald? I think I might have. Yeah. Mountain Dragon taken by OMG. They're second.
And that's fine. Having 2 Mountain Dragons is very positive once Baron becomes an issue in about 10 minutes. But the bottom lane tower was the window that they had with Rift Herald being pushed into the mid lane and a cannon minion. But they didn't go for the bottom lane tower. Now it's going to be a little bit harder to try and chip this one out. So they're going to be hoping that the damage that Tristana does have for herself is going to be enough in a lane that Celestial is doing quite well in shoving her out.
Just pushing wave after wave. Only a 12 CS advantage for Mystic, though 5 just steps up, baits it out, eats a full Acathian rain. Sorry, Acathian rain. As that is the correct pronunciation. I know, it sounds weird.
I'll say a cat.
Yeah.
I'll say a cat. Just because it sounds too weird for me.
It takes getting used to. Because what's Kog'Maw's passive? It's a Cathian surprise.
Yep.
But it's not a Cathian surprise anymore. It's a Cathian surprise.
Who makes these decisions?
The lore team.
I'll have a conversation.
Yeah, I need to. I'm not quite sure why the pronunciation has changed, but it has. Blue buff stolen away by OMG. Looks like Magic trying to do the same, but there's no buff to take. He's actually placed a ward. It's double teleport. Make that triple teleport. Xiang is heading down here too. Binding immediately catches him. 957 with the engage. No hesitation. Chelly over the wall goes down as the first blood of this fight. OMG 5 running for his life as Xiang has found Celestial in the back, and this might be a bit too much. Xie flashes away from the turret, takes a final hit, but it's not enough. The pull back in from 957 hits Icon. He's knocked up. Does 957 have enough damage to finish him off as shield as Mystic kiting it off. Flashes away from the knockup of
Olaf
Xiang.
is coming.
He is racing down the Berserker, the Ragnarok and roll. Decides not to go in.
Woo! He was about to yell chug chug at them, but that's when that's when you know you've messed up. So
The party's over, Olaf. Go home.
Yeah, WE getting out of there.
And getting safe recalls as well. WE get in. They'd get a kill. and then they get out.
A smart choice in that team fight, specifically honing on an Icon. Icon saved his own life because Xie was able to get the 5 soul fragments for himself. The moment he was able to get the burst out, Icon flashed out of it. Would have been a good combo from WE to get the assassination onto him, but didn't happen. Icon had focus in that one. It starts off with Magic being on this side of the map because they recognized, they used the window of which Ryze was getting blue buff, so they knew Ryze was not going to be in the play for a little while. So now they have the numbers advantage, able to just solely focus on Chelly, get the kill on him, and then focus on towards 5, the next squishy. And all of this, it made it difficult for OMG to find a response.
Mystic zapping around to find that kill on the far side. The Celestial did die. It was a 1-for-2 inevitably off of the back. And the long retreat as Icon is able to use that Ryze passive to keep himself topped up.
And so Icon was able to dodge out of the Scion, Q, and of course the Swain ultimate.
Yeah.
That would have been lethal for Icon, so being able to get out of that one was definitely crucial.
And now the map has reset a little bit. The bottom tier 2 was, tier 1 was just taken by OMG on that bottom half of the map after swinging back against that push. But look at where all of the gold is ending up for OMG. Yes, they've got a 3,500 gold lead, but that's on Xiang, that's on Jieko, that's on Icon. Whoa, now! 5 forcing the fight onto Celestial. He flashes the wall. Jieko chases, and they're able to chase down and pick off the kill.
Resets.
Mystic and Magic are trading, and that could be exactly what you're looking at, Raz. Mystic trying to get around the fight, steps back in and immediately dies, and OMG just pick up 2 easy kills.
Running them down. Not sure what WE was doing there. They knew that OMG was pushing through mid lane and that Icon had the access through that back line, so they're just getting caught with their pants down.
Well, they need to pull him back up because OMG are running this game right now. This is now the 3rd turret they're taking. They're even going to try to give some of the gold over to Chelly. As OMG are 6,000 gold up, 5.5.
We might find ourselves going to a game 3 at this pace. OMG recognizing what they need to do to get themselves in the lead. So 5, calls being made. They know that Olaf and Ryze are just in the back there too. So even though Morgana is able to spell shield one part of it, she's not going to be able to get away. And of course, Chelly getting the first one, he doesn't utilize the resets because he doesn't have to. He doesn't want to be the target. So he plays this one out safely, knowing that they have the follow-up damage to get 2 kills at the end.
And another great hook from 5 to catch Magic as he tried to get some kind of turnaround kill off the back of it. Nets yet another kill to OMG. And look at the next dragon. The RNG is telling a story, Rez. And that story is game 3, a 3rd mountain.
Yeah, this is the one you have to respect. It's 18 minutes into the game, so the fact that 3 mountain dragons could go over to OMG means that the Baron focus is going to be real. Single target damage there from Icon. Shelly's going to be dishing out a lot of damage when she has a static shiv. So you have to really focus on towards either stealing out that mountain dragon or having the vision control of Baron so that you never get it taken away from you.
So far, the vision control from WE in this game has been struggling to keep pace with OMG, as Jieko has been running amok across the map, placing ward after ward and denying any safety from Magic, Xie, and Celestial.
This is the first time. Last game it was hard for OMG to just try and siege because they didn't have a range to go for a siege at all. They didn't know what to do when they had a lead or had Baron. This time around they have Tristana that has the range for herself so they can finally walk up to the tower if they're grouped up. So it's a much easier composition for OMG to utilize once the clock hits 20.
Well, it's about 9 seconds away from then. Got any last words before the 20-minute mark ticks over?
God bless WE soul.
Well, 20 minutes tick over, and triple mountain realm warp onto the Baron through the vision. They are rushing it down. It doesn't even matter if they're spotted out by a ward. Look at how quickly they take it down at the 20-minute mark. Teleport is canceled. Baron immediately picked up by OMG. Happy New Year!
I mean, 957 realized he didn't want to be a part of that celebration. Cancels his teleport, or else he would have been the only one at the party there. So OMG, they get it for free. Well done to them. WE don't want any part of that.
And that's just Team OMG using a completely different composition and looking like a completely different team in this game too. 7,000 gold ahead, 20-minute Baron. It's like they've completely forgotten that Game 1 ever even happened.
I mean, if you are gifted this kind of success with the neutral objectives, you just take it. This is so much easier for them to focus on. Suddenly the game is much more linearized around taking dragons and taking the Baron. And now WE are not in the position to try and counteract that or push that away. So they're just trying to stall out what they're known for. So if WE can stall out to a point where some of these picks from Swain, from Sion start to become something real, then they can start to act. But right now they're just trying to play on the back foot.
Of course, to do that, they'll need time and vision, and not a Baron sieging into them. I don't think they'll have that luxury because OMG are immediately pushing in. Chelly steps up, doesn't even use the explosive shot as the tier 2 in mid is immediately broken, and he's still holding on to that E. That said, there's no banner of command to make this siege even more threatening. As a binding hits, 957 forces the fight. Mystic starts to step up along with Celestial and Xie, but that Bromacia is nice and tanky. 957 already dead along with Mystic, and OMG are tearing this game open. Icon looking to chase Xie, gets out of the soul shackles. The support is dead. They're all dead, Raz. They're all dead.
Yes, they are. That was a little bit ambitious. I don't know, man. The moment 957 caught the eyes of 5, who was binded, he's like, all right, I'm going right in there. I don't care what follow-up comes through. Let's just try and get the kill. So they tried to all in on the support, and it just didn't happen.
OMG are trying to end the game right here to bring us to a Game 3. They immediately turn on to the Nexus turrets. It's still a few seconds before Mystic is back up. And they're going to do it, Raz. I cannot believe it. In one of the fastest games in the LPL Summer Split, OMG bring us to Game 3.
And remember, they 2-0'd Snake not too long ago. So OMG are on that track. They can take these teams down. And WE are susceptible to slipping. So they don't want to find themselves slipping on the last step before playoffs. That would be a bad look to them.
Yeah, you gotta hate it when that happens, when Bay catches you slipping. It is the worst.
Definitely don't.
OMG this time. They found it. And they are able to bring us to this Game 3 in front of a packed stadium full of fans. Now, it is actually the final game of Chengdu 2018 Spring upon us. They have gone the distance. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it definitely happened. I mean, there was a lot of help there for OMG. They had themselves a pretty good scaling composition with Rise and Tristana, so that's nice for them. So they recognized that they needed to make the composition a lot more easier around team fights because the last game was a lot harder for them. So they got it for themselves. God gifted them Earth Dragon after Earth Dragon. And then, of course, Baron was just on that silver platter.
Yeah.
So why not go for it?
It was one after the next after the next.
Yeah.
Literally, the neutral objectives falling from the sky, raining on them at that point.
That's harmful.
When there are dragons and barons falling from the sky, generally you would expect that, yes. But in this case, OMG just happily accepted these objectives and smashed WE. And, you know, so many times we say WE is a team that, you know, maybe they can stall it out, maybe they can lose gracefully, give up as little as possible, stall the game. It almost seems like WE wanted to go to a Game 3 with how they threw themselves at OMG with that final fight.
It's just very hard if you're a Kha'Zix, because we talked about Kha'Zix needing to have that early game rolling for them. Early game wasn't rolling for them.
It was not.
Yeah, it was not rolling for them. So not a lot of plays for Kha'Zix to make, not a lot of plays for Kai'Sa to make. So the damage is definitely falling off. And Swain, sure, is tanky with the Abyssal Mask, but doesn't have damage for himself as well. So if the damage falls off that drastically, these team fights is not going to go in WE's way.
Yeah, we saw what happened that time, but now it's time for those other people at that other place to talk about that thing we just saw.
Okay, yes, we're going to talk about that thing that you guys just saw. And good guys, Team WE as well as OMG, making sure that we go all the way to 3 games so that there's no massive long break before we get into the next match that we play here in Shanghai.
Yeah, they saw that we had lapped NA and EU 3 times already with our games played. They're like, now let's go for 4.
Yeah, so that's what, 312 now? So we're getting closer and closer towards the 360 mark. That's going to be great. But let's say Game 2 between Team WE and OMG. Let's start with the drafting phase, because as they were mentioning earlier, as Raz as well as I were mentioning, it was a early game composition that came out from Team WE that never got online. And
I want to point out the bans in particular from OMG, because I think that's where the real genius comes from, is the fact that they banned both the Sejuani and the Jarvan. Fish, you and I were talking to the game, you're like, it feels like if Magic isn't on Sejuani, Jarvan, or Rek'Sai, that it's already an automatic loss for Team WE, and I actually agree with that. It's not just, you know, Magic who is to blame there. It's also his responsibility to the team and what Team WE expect from their jungler, and you can't get it out of a champion like Kha'Zix. He's supposed to be there for the primary CC, the front tank line, and to create space and zone control for Xie and Mystic. And on Kha'Zix, you're not doing that.
Yeah, he was not able to do that on the Kha'Zix, and on top of that, you mentioned the two bans that came up from OMG were very smart, but he still had that Rek'Sai to work around. But it felt like they were trying to use the Kha'Zix in tandem with the Kai'Sa to team composition, something that does really well with taking down
They did
neutral
rotate it
objectives.
together.
They did rotate it very well together,
And,
and they picked it up first.
Unfortunately, they didn't get to use the monster objective shred because, like you were saying, Kai'Sa can also help proc and bring down monster objectives. She does Rift Herald, one of the fastest ADCs at doing that. But when you have triple Mountain Dragon and then there's Rise Ultimate onto a Baron, you never get to really use that combo.
Yeah, because it always looked like Team WE had a way to get back into the match, but OMG sealed the deal when they were able to make that play. Where they had the triple Mountain Dragon ready, they used the Rise Ultimate to get into the Baron Pit, picked it up so quickly that even the teleport that was coming out to try and jump into that fight couldn't channel fast enough to get there.
Yeah, and the thing is while this is a genius play from OMG, recognizing their win conditions of having the triple mountain, immediately turning on the Baron, and Team WE just kind of exasperated how poor they reacted to this play, because then they immediately fed into that mid lane fight. And it's like, okay, this Mountain Dragon doesn't just help us take down the monster objective, it's also now going to end the game because we have Tristana triple mountain and a minion wave crashing into your mid-tier tower. But it's the byproduct of how did they get triple mountain drakes to be put in that situation in the first place. And that again comes back to the draft phase. The Kha'Zix, the fact that OMG, they got a 1v1 solo kill in the mid lane, so they had the mid lane kill pressure and push priority there, and constantly Olaf was just blitzing in. And even if he didn't kill the Kha'Zix, he was laying down vision, and this gave OMG the information that they needed to set themselves up to have so much strong objective control and get triple mount.
That's a really interesting fact about Sia there. He got solo killed by Icon in that last match, and he was the MVP in game 1. It was almost a telegraphed play that came out from Icon going for that solo kill underneath the turret, and very unlike Sia to fall to that.
And it was, it's really apparent to me looking at Team WE, because like I was talking about earlier, is that while we don't expect Celestial and Magic to be as strong as Condi and Ben, Team WE are band-aiding this by using the same compositions that they already have so much experience with. So that way you're not learning new compositions and learning with new teammates. They're throwing them on the Jarvans, the exact same thing that you would see with the with Condi there in the jungle. But now suddenly in their very last series, right before playoffs, it's Kai'Sa preparation, it's Swain, it's flexing with Sion. It's very clear that Team WE are taking the series as preparation and experimentation going into playoffs. So I don't think losing here is as big of a deal as long as they feel that they're very solid for 8.6.
Right, because we could criticize Team WE all day because they are the team that made it into playoffs. OMG have not. But at the end of the day, the points in this match don't matter. But it has been a fun show so far. The first game, also game, had been really bloody between the two teams. But off the back of the solo kill, off the back of the team-based performance coming out from Icon, he picks up MVP in game number 2. And this week for OMG, we can say, yes, this match doesn't matter too much to them, but they took down Snake early in the week, and now they're looking good against Team WE as well.
Don't get me wrong, this match doesn't matter a lot for Team WE. I actually think this match matters a lot for OMG. They have been kicked around in Chengdu, their home arena. They have very few wins, and for a player like Icon, if you see him on stage, if you get to talk to him, run into him backstage, he does carry a lot of swagger, and you see his head down. It hasn't been great. Losing so many consistent games in a row. So while Team WE, this is more of experimentation for them, prepping themselves for playoffs, for OMG, I do think that this is almost life or death. Some of these players are playing to play again. You can't just have your reputation tarnished by being one of the bottom teams in the LPL and expect to sign your contract next to you.
And we said that exactly at the start of the first match, was the fact that, yes, it doesn't mean anything for Team WE. Yes, they could come in here and start to prep and experiment with new things, but this is the final match that OMG will be playing at their home arena. And that's with the grand finals being played at their home venue, which is going to be in Chengdu. So that's crazy to know that they're not going to make playoffs, but this is their final match they have to play, and they really have to put on a good show and definitely start preparing for Summer Split, because this is the OMG, not the same OMG that we saw that went to Rift Rivals and had a good performance there. Their Spring Split so far has been horrendous.
Which is so weird because it's almost exactly the same roster now that they're running back to Jacob and 5, because the only difference then is Chelly to SMLZ. And Chelly has showcased that if you give him the Kai'Sa, if you give him, his power picks, he can make a difference for the team. So theoretically, OMG shouldn't be struggling as much as they are. I actually think it was moving to the venue. They were the only team in the LPL that didn't start in their venue. I mean,
yes.
Hangzhou opened after Chinese New Year, but they moved mid-split. I think this is actually just a byproduct of picking their stuff up, moving to a new gaming house, getting settled in, and now we're starting to see the old OMG return.
Yeah, they're starting to do well, but unfortunately it's too little too late. They cannot make playoffs, but Week 10 has been good for them so far. Let's see if they can close out the series against Team WE. Game 3 coming up next.